My name is Patrick Stefanik, and I'm here to talk to you about science communication. In the scientific community today, scientists have been found to be excellent communicators, with the caveat that they're discussing the science that they do with their peers. Those who have prerequisite knowledge of the things that they're studying. However, when we move into the arena of discussing science with the layman of the American populace, it would seem that scientists are not excellent at explaining even basic science to Americans. They use jargon that Americans can make no sense of. In fact, there's a great disconnect between scientists and the layman. Now, this is unfortunate because it would seem that those who understand science, even in a conceptual level, those who could not do it themselves but could explain to you why the sky is blue from a general conceptual idea, appear to be more interested in science. Policymakers, it would seem that they do not understand science as well as they ought to. I'd like to tell you two stories that I've recently heard of policymakers and how it pertains to science. First of all, the issue of climate change is a hot topic these days. Scientists, almost in their entirety, agree that climate change is mainly caused by humans. Now, policymakers, it would seem, have been trying to discredit these scientists for years now. One specific example I can think of involves a congressman, an American congressman, trying to disprove that polar ice caps melting is contributing to the rising levels of the sea. He did this by placing a glass of water on his desk and then placing some ice cubes in it. He said by the end of this session, these ice cubes will have melted and the water level will not have risen. Now, he's 100% correct. However, that does not disprove that polar ice caps melting is contributing to sea levels rising. Now, the reason for this is that when he places the ice cubes in the water level rises slightly. The ice displaces the water and moves it up. Now, when the ice melts, the water has already been displaced and therefore will not rise anymore. However, if you were to fill a bowl with simply ice, perhaps a little water at the bottom, but making sure that the ice is above the water level and let it melt, the water level will surely rise. And it's this kind of ignorance in our Congress today that, well, it worries me about the state of our nation, but that's a different story. It has been posited that this ignorance in policymakers has stemmed somewhat from scientists being poor at communicating science. For if a policymaker cannot understand the science behind climate change, how is he to make an informed decision on what policies to make? Now, it would seem that the proper option is to have scientists become policymakers. Now, that surely can't be, but that's a story for another day. Another option is, well, for scientists to get better at communicating. If a scientist can explain climate change in a simple, easy to understand way, without, well, lying about it, giving all the facts, then policymakers can become better at making policy and make more informed decisions on the policy that they would make. Now, scientists seem to realize this is an issue, and in recent years have begun creating conferences and training so that scientists can become better communicators. However, the form of these conferences has been very scientific. Scientists come in a familiar fashion, They discuss the research on science communication, and they see how they can improve themselves in a scientific manner. I believe that while this has its merit, there are better ways to improve science communication, at least from the point of view that scientists should be able to explain simple concepts in a simple way. Now, the website, reddit.com, is a forum-based site that has its users discuss various topics. One of the topics is something called Explain It Like I'm 5, in which people pose questions and ask the users of this forum to explain scientific things as well as other things as though they were a 5-year-old. I believe this is truly where scientists will learn to become better communicators. Now, not every scientist has the time to go and browse forums looking for questions posed that they can answer. I believe instead that universities and institutions should really create Explain It Like I'm 5 events in which scientists form a panel and the general populace may come and ask questions and have the panel explain it to them as though they were 5. I think this serves two purposes. First off, scientists will become better communicators to the general layman. They'll be forced to use terms that are colloquial. They can no longer use jargon that people won't understand. And they really need to understand the issue to its core, or rather the scientific inquiry to its core, to explain it simply. I believe further that the people coming to ask questions are generally interested in the topic, but don't wish to go through a formal education of 10 years or so to understand it. I think this will spur interest in science and really create a general culture in America about supporting science in its endeavors. Now, I believe that this conference is an attainable and feasible goal, and that it will solve many issues in science communication. As well, I believe that it's a paradigm shift from current efforts in science communication training. I believe that at Cal Poly specifically, this can be implemented quite easily. In fact, I have already begun discussions to start an Explain It Like I'm 5 panel and really get the ball rolling on this. All in all, I believe that science communication can be improved through unorthodox methods involving simple explanations as well as jargonless explanations. And this will improve science communication at our local level of Cal Poly, and perhaps, if it's successful, it can be extended to other universities and institutions. And we can really change science culture as a whole and improve science, understanding in the American populace and science communication in the scientific community.